What's up, folks? Welcome back to the Charm City Heavyweights podcast brought to you by Great Eighth Memorabilia in Parkville, Maryland. I am the host, Matt Trigger. With me is my co host, Josh Merrill. Josh, it is Victory Tuesday. What is up, man?
What's up, Matt? Coming live from the man cave. That was crazy. And before we kick the show off, I just want to say, Jason Lockenflora, you are a coward. I was up on Twitter all night. I was supposed to work today, but I was up on Twitter all night battling. People on Lockenflora's page, he's a coward. He immediately, when the game was over, sent a tweet saying, Purdy sucks all of a sudden. The 49ers are terrible. They're not even the best team. When all week in Baltimore radio, we've been hearing how good they were. The Ravens don't have a chance. They should raise the white flag. Lamar's going to get hurt. The line can't, no way this line can compete on the field against a strong 49ers front when the line did extremely well. They didn't really get any pressure at all. I think they had one or two sacks, but the pressure didn't affect Joey Bosa, didn't affect the game. Stanley was anchoring, which we haven't seen. Yeah, he came out a few times.
A long time. Before we get
But
started,
he
Josh.
was anchoring.
Yeah, he was. Before we get started and get into the breakdown, one of our viewers asked us to send a special birthday shout out to one of the guys in the neighborhood that passed away, Goose. He used to hang out with us and play football with us back in the day. So happy heavenly birthday to Goose. There you go,
Happy birthday, Goose.
Yeah, I got you, buddy. We wanted to make sure we got that out of the
Didn't
way
we?
before.
When we were kids, we called him. No, we did. I remember him being strong as shit, man. He was way smaller than all of us, and he was.
Yeah, he wasn't
running some of us over.
smaller, but that was one of the strongest dudes that played football with us for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great night. Answered my Christmas wish. I know, just like everybody else in the city that's a Ravens fan,
And I was relaxed for this game. I was like very relaxed. Because you know what? I knew if all I really wanted, I'm going to be honest, and this may make some people mad, but it's just the truth. I thought, look, we don't have to win. If we lose this game or if we win this game, we've really gained no ground. The game was really meaningless in the standings. It meant something. I'm saying in the standings. It did mean something to us, but I'm saying as far as in the standings, right, I wanted to win, but I'm saying I wouldn't mind, as long as we stay close, play with them, look like we belong on the same field with them, and then let's get them back in the Super Bowl. We get the last laugh. But I did not expect us to fully dismantle them, expose them, and what happened. But I'll take it, and I loved every second of it. It was a comfortable game.
All week long, whether you listen to local radio, local media, or the national talk shows, whether it's on Fox Sports, Pro Football Talk with that asshole Florio, or ESPN, everybody was, and they're still making excuses now.
Oh, of course.
We're not getting our just due. We walked into San Francisco's football stadium. We dismantled them piece by piece on national television on Christmas Day. We punched them in the mouth from the jump. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody makes an excuse for it. We went in there and we had a classic behind the shed ass whooping. And I don't want to hear anything anybody's got to say about it that wants to still make excuses. Brock Purdy proved last night that he is a system quarterback. And 3 out of the 4 AFC North defenses he's faced this year, he's gotten his ass handed to him. I'm tired of this. We went in there and we kicked their door in. We dismantled them. It was a ass whooping from start to finish.
It was.
We punted the first drive and didn't punt again until the fourth quarter.
In San Fran, that's what makes it even more crazy. Back out west, that's as much as the team has traveled.
And let me just get this out of the way. We're going to talk a lot about the defense tonight because the defense is outstanding. Kyle Hamilton, I owe him an apology more than anybody else I've ever criticized on the Ravens. Kyle Hamilton is the best safety, free safety, strong safety, box safety, whatever you want to call him. He is the best safety in football, and he's only a year and a half in the league. The dude is a stud. Last night when I was going along Facebook Live making comments, Anthony Mitchell, who's a friend of our show, he's been on plenty of times with us, We love Anthony. He said he's the next Ravens Hall of Fame safety. And if you got somebody that's a Super Bowl champion saying that, I put precedence behind it. He is the best football player on this team that is not named Lamar Jackson or Roquan.
Absolutely. That's easy. Yeah, of course.
He's a fucking monster. I owe him an apology because I rode him in the first 9 weeks of last year, and even when he finished the year strong, I was still skeptical. That dude has proven everybody wrong. He is
He's
the
lights out.
pick. There's 13 teams in the league right now that are kicking themselves for not drafting this dude.
Yeah.
He is legitimate.
Dude had a 300-pound dude fall on his back, drive his head into the ground. He gets up and gets the interception. Yeah, he got chopped blocked. He gets up and gets the interception.
Yeah. Open field tackles, passes deflected, 2 interceptions. The dude is a tackling machine. And then when we saw him go down last night and grab
I've never
his knee,
seen a player like him.
He is impeccable in every facet of his game. He can cover. He can open field tackle. He's good as a blitzer.
Yes.
The dude, there's nothing to do that.
And that first pick he had in the end zone, because the good thing about playing on Monday is his tape drops on Tuesday. That play he made in the end zone reminded me of a famous Ed Reed play where he faked the one side while Purdy was looking. And this is how Ed Reed tricked Peyton Manning a few times. There's a million YouTube videos about this play. Bill Belichick calls it the greatest defensive play he's ever seen, where Ed Reed goes one way when Peyton's looking, and as soon as Peyton goes to his next read, he cuts back. And very few people are talented enough to do that. And it's clear on film Hamilton did that in a lot shorter of a distance because, they're in the end zone, in the red zone. But he did it. He made that kind of play. He went one way and went back.
He's doing all this as a 6'4", 220-pound safety. He's not some 5'10", 5'11", super nimble, like little guy that's just the best athlete on the field. He is a monster on the field, and he towers. He looks like a linebacker, runs like a cornerback, and hits like Ray Lewis. It's crazy. He is that great.
I've never seen a safety that way. I've never seen a safety like him. Only the closest one I can think of is like Troy Polamalu.
Yeah, right now, yeah, that's a perfect comparison. Him. Yeah, he's our version of Troy.
Ed can play down low too, though, but that wasn't Ed's strong suit.
The thing is, Ed, once Ed got that neck injury, he was
he's back end safety.
He was a center fielder. Yeah, I'll say this right now, and it might just be us riding high off this victory, but we are the best team in the NFL, and it is
right now
close.
By far. But right now doesn't mean anything. And let's not get too crazy.
But here's the crazy thing. Offensively, we didn't even play a complete game.
Nope.
The running
scored on all our opportunities.
The running game was atrocious last night.
Yeah. I mean, if we would have scored on every time we got in the red zone, if we would have put up 6, I mean, we would have had to paint their stadium purple. And did you get any messages from our San Fran friends?
I messaged them a couple times, and I was gracious in victory. They didn't really have any excuses. They just said we took them out, behind the woodshed for a beating, and that's what it was.
At stadium, the fans looked lost, man. That shit was funny.
They looked absolutely befuddled. It was Brock Purdy looked like he saw a ghost last night, and it's crazy how even with Trent Williams, the All-Pro, All-World left tackle, Clowney was pushing him around last night. It was they. I don't care. I'll tell you this: if Lamar Jackson doesn't win MVP, it needs to be McCaffrey. He's a monster. He tore us up.
He is a monster, but you know what? We gave him his runs. Listen, Mike McDonald isn't going to be around long. Listen, guys, his defensive scheme last night was amazing. He let McCaffrey get his plays, but he did not let it take over the game. It's almost like, okay, he's going to get this, he's going to get that. He chewed Roquan up a few times, but Roquan put the pads on him quite a few times as well. But we let him make his plays, but we never let him take control of the game. San Fran, I thought it was silly how they were throwing the ball so much. I don't know why. If I was San Fran, I would have kept running with McCaffrey. It might have been a different game if they chose to go that route. But we never let him take the game over. We never did. We let him get his chunks, and he scored. I get it. But he never
He
controlled the
had
game.
125 all-purpose yards.
Yeah,
For
but he
Christian
never
McCaffrey,
controlled. But he never controlled it.
that's a mediocre game for Christian McCaffrey. 125
Yep.
all-purpose yards. He didn't break 100 on the ground. Debo wasn't really a factor. You knew they were getting desperate when they had Debo Samuel returning kicks yesterday,
Yeah.
and just to get him on the field. We shut Debo down for the most part. Ayuk is a really good wide receiver, so I'm not
Yeah, he
too
made
upset
some
about that.
plays. Yeah, he made some plays.
He's very shifty. He makes some plays. George Kittle is sneaky good still, like in terms of getting open, and he's a hell of a blocker.
I don't know what. That's the only question I had from the defense last night was why we were leaving the middle open, why we were letting him gash us in the middle. I don't know what was happening there, man.
They just didn't want these guys to get to the outside, and that's what it seemed like.
So.
And
They were just letting them have
I'm
it.
cool with that. Yeah, they were letting them have it. It was one of those situations where you knew that they were going to beat you, but you didn't want them to get behind you or on the outside of you.
Right.
And give up the middle all day. You got sure tacklers. You got you got Roquan and Hamilton flying around out there. Marcus Williams played a great game last night.
He did.
He had the game sealing 5th interception. He's still a liability with tackling a little bit, but the dude is. There's a reason we signed him, and he's been improving his worth even with one arm right now.
He is. He's playing well.
He's playing well. He's good in pass coverage. He's still knocking the ball down. He's still covering guys deep. He's good on bracket, helping Stevens and Marlon. Marlon Humphrey played his best football game all year last night.
He should have wrapped up on that tackle, though, where he lit up.
That's the only thing you can say about Marlon last night.
He was shocked, man. His eyes, because he gave him everything he had.
But
he laid it in him.
Debo's built like a running back playing wide receiver.
Oh yeah, of course. You got to wrap up.
You got to wrap Debo up. I don't care who you wrap up. You got to wrap Debo up. I personally, thought that he looked like he's probably the healthiest he's been all year at this point, and he was clutch when it mattered. And let's talk a little bit about the offense though, Josh, because these guys played a fantastic football game. In terms of the offensive line blocking, when you have Chase Young and Nick Bosa, and you got Javon Hargrave in the middle, and you got Randy Gregory coming off the bench, and you got Javon Kinlaw, those guys are known commodities in the NFL as a defensive line. Around league circles, they're the best defensive line in football. If you ask a number of people, and
you better give Stanley and Moses credit because they both played well.
Moses played a good game. Under scrutiny. Stanley. There was a couple times I was proud of Stanley because there was a couple times where he got like leg whipped in the back or he got his ankle rolled up on and he started grabbing at it and rolling around, but he got up and he kept playing and that was
and he was playing hard, man.
He was. I think he took.
He was drenched in sweat.
He was. But I think a lot of people were talking about him not being the All-Pro, and us included. And I'm saying he probably heard it from the people on the radio that La Canfora has been ripping him all year, and there's a reason for it. I'm not going to say that last night negates everything that he's done for the last couple of years, but Stanley looked fantastic. He was anchoring, he was driving, he was pulling. It was crazy. Linderbaum handled their middle fantastically.
Yeah, there was some kind of discrepancy, some argument between Morgan Moses and Linderbaum. Moses was hot, man. I saw it on TV last night during the game live. I was like, oh, I can't wait I wrote it down in my phone, the time it was, so I could find it easy. But Moses was pissed. I don't know what it was about. I couldn't tell reading their lips. I don't know if it was a call Linderbaum made on the line. I don't know what it was, but Moses was pissed off at him, man, for a while. Moses was in his face. I mean, like,
but the thing is,
I don't know what it was about.
Who cares?
No, I don't care. I'm just saying. I like that.
As a unit.
I like that. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I like it.
No, I'm not misunderstanding.
Yeah. That's a veteran telling him you fucked up, and he's letting him know. I like that.
I saw that Zeitler had a thigh injury, and Ben Cleveland came in and he didn't get pushed around
at all.
He played well the whole fourth quarter he was in. Ben Cleveland played well. This is one of those situations where this formula that was questioned for the last couple of weeks rotating Falele and McCary in there at tackle, keeping everybody fresh, especially in December going into January, I'm okay with that. If this is the type of
Yeah,
product you're
Lock
going
and
to
Four
get,
has been bitching about them rotating, how it's a joke and silly, and we're the
oh
laughing
yeah,
stock in the NFL for it. And I'm
but
like,
if it's working, you're keeping
well,
everybody
yeah,
fresh.
it's working.
You
I
know,
don't mind it. I never minded it.
I'll say this: the weak link of that offensive line is definitely left guard, and John Simpson has no business being a starter.
But he's
Um,
not hurting us.
he's not. He's given up a lot of inside pressure to Lamar. He gave up one of those sacks last night.
He did.
Simpson is in there because there's
But we kind of
nobody.
knew that about him going in. We knew he wasn't going to be, a Pro Bowler.
No. I'm not expecting a Pro Bowl level play. He had a decent game last night, but when you look at the sacks that were given up, one of them was on him, and I
He
think
gets
the other one
lazy.
might have. He
He
does.
gets lazy with his
He
feet.
he does get a little lackadaisical in his footwork, but it was just one of those situations where you can't really complain about a lot. Lamar was relatively untouched, and I'll say this on that. I think it was 3rd and 16 where Lamar had that 31-yard run.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
He made two people miss in the pocket, and then he's shaking dudes and juking dudes 25 yards downfield and making them look silly. And I think that was right before halftime, I
Dude,
believe, where
once he's outside and he cuts back inside, it's whoo, it's hard
yeah,
to stop.
it's hard. And I'll say this: he had another game where he was highly efficient. I don't care what people look at with the stats. I don't care if he only threw for 220 or 250 or whatever it is.
Who cares?
This dude is making throws. He is finding open receivers. The throw to Likely, where Likely had that stiff arm and planted the
Mm.
dude's face in the ground for, I think, a 25, 30-yard gain. Likely is starting to do what Andrews does. He gets open in the zone and he just
Yep.
kind of like hangs out and waits.
He's
And
a
then
lot more tougher than I gave him credit for. He's
who else
not
played the hell of
finesse
a
like
game?
we were saying that. Who?
Charlie Kohler's a good tight end too.
He is.
He played a good game last night. He's a hell of a blocker too. He's
Bro,
probably
we
the best
just know how to draft tight ends. We can find tight ends anywhere.
we can.
It's easy.
It's one of those. You know it's one of those things where now I believe Andrews is going to be back. Something
I
things
do too. There's rumors he's been around the team
but
per
they've been
source.
way too quiet about him. So I think that we see Andrews in a month. I think around if we get this when we handle business this weekend with Miami, we get the first round bye. I think we see Andrews in the divisional round back in the lineup. Even though Likely's playing well, Aguilar's playing
I
well.
think if we were struggling, you might see Andrews back. I think they're being real slow.
Yeah, we're still rolling right now. I think we've lost
Yeah.
one game since he's gotten hurt.
Yep.
I think we won 9 out of our last 10 games. So I'm not.
How did
I'm
the
not.
NFL not make this a primetime game coming up? Which I'm glad they didn't, because
I,
primetime games, I'm tired, man.
yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't. I don't think. I think that they were hesitant to do it because they didn't know what last night was going to look like. But
Yeah.
the fact that it's a 1 o'clock game, it's gonna be probably the most watched 1 o'clock game this coming Sunday.
Well, that all
And
depends
you
how
know,
they broadcast it, but yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure.
their number 2 wide receiver, Jalen Waddle, he's got a high ankle sprain, so we may not see him. Tyreek Hill's banged up. We're catching Miami at a good time right now. I know that they're still playing good football, but we're catching them at a pretty good time. And
I'm
this is a
glad it's
different
here.
this is a different football team right here. And
I'm hoping we don't hit the road again until the Super Bowl.
yeah, I think that this might be the last time that we're on the road this year.
Yeah.
And I will say this, not to veer off of the Ravens game, but Cleveland scares me, brother. They're
They're
they're a good
solid.
football team.
They
They're a
are.
good football team right now.
Flacco, and I can't hate him, man. I just
I
can't.
it makes me sad every time I see him in a Cleveland Browns jersey.
He
But
cannot come into the M&T Bank and ruin
he
his
can't.
season. Man,
Somebody's
can't.
got
I'll punch you in your mouth, Joe. You motherfucker. You stop, man. Stop. Remember where you got your ring.
The
Cut the
thing is,
shit out, man. Your
somebody's
old
got to knock
ass.
them off.
Yeah, I hope so. He
Somebody's got to
cannot
knock them
come into
off.
this stadium.
He can't
That
come
can't
here.
happen. No, please God, no.
That's like a nightmare scenario. And
Yeah.
if I
Cleveland
had
plays us tough, man.
they
And that damn tight end is usually only good against us. Now he's going crazy. Him and Flacco look like Flacco and Heat.
well, Amari Cooper had 265 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns on Sunday. So yeah, we need to make sure that somebody knocks them off. It's one of those situations where uh, I'd rather see Buffalo or Miami again, or hell, even Pittsburgh before I want to see Cleveland. And I
Yeah.
never thought I'd be saying that,
What's
especially
going
this
on
year.
with the Chiefs, man? It's just weird, dude. That is just
They're
weird.
coming
And
back
the
down to
Eagles.
earth. They're
Yeah.
both of those teams are coming back down to earth. They also have been pillaged in their coaching staffs the last couple of
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
The Eagles lost both their coordinators. They're now head coaches in Indianapolis and Arizona.
I think the Chiefs' heads got too big. I think
they lost
they're.
the enemy. Uh,
Yeah.
hey, I'm okay with it. That's one of those things
It's our
where
chance, man.
it's ours for the taking, and we got a 2-game lead or a 1-game lead in the AFC standings. We take care of business on Sunday, we're fine. And the thing is, as much as everybody wants it to happen, we need to play the starters against Pittsburgh. It's not about beating them. It's about the simple fact that the last time we benched all of our starters, it was a 2.5 week layoff before the next game, and they were flat. And that was 2019. We can't have that again. These dudes need to play week 18. I don't care if it's even for a half. If you take them out at
Whatever
halftime,
Hards did that last time, do the exact opposite, John.
yeah, he can't do that this time.
You had
They,
soft practices the off week, then fuck no, stay in pads.
yeah,
If it's allowed, because I know they got all these rules and stupid shit they gotta do.
I'm, you know, I was watching the game last night, and I was sitting there thinking about for the show tonight. I'm like, there's really not much to bitch about. Um,
No,
the Gus and Justice, they did what they could, but they combined to average 3 yards a carry.
I gotta say I wasn't happy about how much we were passing, but it was working, so I wasn't mad. But it just surprised me because I
I
really
think we
thought.
threw 25 times in the first half.
Yeah,
We
I
threw
honestly, and then usually that's not a good recipe for success. I was
no,
shocked, man. I was shocked by the game plan. I honestly thought we were going in there just going to pound the ball and hope to win an ugly, low scoring game. I did not expect us to go in there and block the way we did, and I'm just like, man, that was wild, dude. That was absolutely wild.
the best play that the running backs made was when Lamar was under pressure on a pass, and Gus
Edwards,
Edwards cut
yeah,
across the field,
he's been doing that all year.
but Lamar dropped that ball in there beautifully and just
Yeah,
floated
and
it
that's
to him.
stuff we never did before.
Yeah,
Edwards would have been in the flat somewhere, something
and
stupid. But
and and Edwards followed him across the line of scrimmage
yeah,
at
he's
about
been doing it. I've
maybe five
mentioned it
yards
on this show many
downfield.
times this season.
I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic situation where Gus has shown his worth as a pass catcher, and he's 245 pounds, brother. Him getting that head of steam downfield, they didn't want no part of tackling him down there.
I
We
don't
were
know. Would you?
we punished them. Those dudes did, for as being as a revered defense as San Francisco has been. And if you listen to the media, they're a very poor tackling football team. I will say that. And I don't really criticize the other team that much when they play us. I mainly focus on us as the
Matt,
you, but they're a
can I
bad
ask you a
tackling football
question?
team. Yeah.
They are. Can I ask you one question? I know we're not going to be on there much longer, but can I ask you one question? Because I was thinking about this today, and I almost forgot to bring it up. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. You're
Uh,
fine.
Does it bother you now that because the beginning of the year I was thinking about the preseason shows and we were talking a lot about I actually went back and watched a few of them, but we were talking a lot about can Lamar run this offense? This is he hasn't ran an offense like this since college. Can he do it in the pros? Can he make the checks and do it? And he has. He's done it really well. He may be having his best year ever. So now that we know that he can do that. Does that bother you that he had Roman so long and maybe things could have ended up different if we didn't have Roman as the OC? Or do you think Lamar still needed that progression under Roman and that kind of running style offense? Still, he needed it to develop into what he is now.
We needed that. He needed that. I'll agree that he probably needed an offensive coordinator that was different from Roman. But here's the thing: if you take Roman away any year before now, there's no guarantee that Monken's here, and then there's no guarantee that Odell Beckham Jr. is here. There's no guarantee that he does this without Zay Flowers. You know what I'm saying? So this is a perfect storm right here. The dude is picking up the offense at an alarming pace. He's efficient in it. He's making his checks and his reads. He's operating in a pro style offense, but we don't necessarily know if he would have been this good without the guys that he's got now. And I hate to say that because he won an MVP with Willie Snead and Seth Roberts. And by the way, Willie Snead just got cut by the 49ers this morning. I thought that was funny.
I was shocked when I saw him last night. I was like,
I didn't even know he was still in the league.
Dude. I didn't either.
I had no idea he was still in the league.
Hair was just like when he was here and shit. I
Yeah.
was like, oh shit, Willie Snead. And he talked a lot of shit when he left here, though.
Yeah, he did. He was very critical of Greg Roman, but I'm happy that Lamar picked it up. And before I get too carried away, I went back and watched a few of the earlier preseason predictions. I told everybody on our prediction shows, and I was laughed at when I said this was going to be a 14-3 or a 13-4 football team. Here we are at 12-3. We went out. I'm gonna make sure I go back and I'm gonna reference what episode that was because I didn't pick these losses particularly, but I actually thought this was going to be a loss last night in my early my preseason predictions, but
yeah, because all the traveling, they're going back out west. They had every excuse to lose.
Yeah, they had every reason to mark that as an L on the calendar earlier in the year. I'm blown away with how they played last night. I didn't even yell one time at the television. And there's one thing I want to address about earlier in the game, and I'm not bitching because they called it a safety. But how do you change the rules or make shit fair? The referees get in the way a lot.
That was funny, man.
It was funny, but what was Lamar supposed to do? He got tripped by the referee.
He did.
And seeing the 5-0 football game was just odd for a little bit. I don't understand.
I expected a low scoring game, honestly. I did not expect us to put up that many.
I didn't think anybody was going to get out of the 20s, honestly.
I know my prediction was crazy, but I actually think my prediction wasn't that far off. I know.
You were the closest out of all four of us.
Yeah, I said 30-something to 17 or whatever. Yeah, so I was on the money.
I think you said 34-17 and it was 33-19.
Yeah. So I was close. But honest to God, I thought it would be like a game of field goals, man. Pound the ground and pick. Because I thought that's what they were going to do. They were going to try to just pound McCaffrey up the middle and gash us. And control the clock and keep Lamar off the field. And I thought we would kind of do the same thing. So it kind of shocked me the way the game went, man. It just really surprised me that both them guys, that linebacker, what's his name? He affected the game a few times, but not really.
Warner,
yeah. Lamar made him look silly on that run, by the way.
Oh, yeah. He was the one that shook like 25 yards downfield.
He shook the shit out of him, man. He does that to everybody, Warner. Don't worry about it. It was amazing. This team's hot, man. This is the most, and I told my wife this today at lunch. And I was like, all the years you've known me, you've never heard me say these words, and we've won a Super Bowl since we've been together. But this is the most complete Ravens team I've ever seen. I've never seen it on both sides of the ball. And I'm afraid to say it. Yep, and it's scary because that doesn't mean we're going to win the Super Bowl, and it scares me. But they're complete on both sides of the ball. It's like, and someone gets hurt, and the next guy up plays just as well. It's credit to Harbaugh. He deserves Coach of the Year no matter what happens. The injuries that we've gotten, Mitchell was a big loss, but he wasn't a big part until his.
Hold on about Harbaugh.
But all the news networks are acting
Josh,
like it was like detrimental. It does suck, but he wasn't like he had his spurts.
Josh, come on.
We've
had the majority of the core of this team for the better part of 3-4 years now, and you're talking about credit to Harbaugh. You can't credit Harbaugh without crediting McDonald and Monken, because
but Harbaugh's head coach, he gets the credit first.
McDonald is getting the most out of this defense that we have ever seen, and it is incredible.
At a different way than we're used to, but kind of not. He's aggressive too and now, he's also not afraid to back off.
He's doing it differently. He's not throwing 8-9 guys in a rush. That's fine. I'm okay with that. My concern is, Josh, is the fact that he's doing this and we're only getting 5. Oh, he's gone. Oh, hopefully he'll be back, folks. That was a little odd. Normally it's me that's messing up. We are rolling in comments, by the way, guys. Wow. Hopefully Josh rejoins us relatively soon. Let's see, we got a ton of comments, so I've got a lot to go through. I've been kind of reading some of the comments you guys have been saying. Go ahead and find some of these that I wanted to address while we're waiting for Josh to rejoin the show. Kenny, real quick, 2 things I noticed. Rowe didn't look like himself. 2, it's pass first. Rose looked a little off, but I'm not too worried about it. I think that he plays balls to the wall every week, and I'm not really concerned about it. He gives 100% effort the entire time he's out there, so that does not concern me in the least. Let's see, who else was I seeing? Okay, from Jordan, Van Noy was giving Humphrey shit about the Debo hit. Yeah, we got a team full of veterans that's going to call these guys out. It doesn't matter if it was in jest or not; it was still accurate. Van Noy has every right to call him out, and I'm not surprised if he does. If he doesn't do that more often, you got to wrap these guys up and tackle them. And that was the difference between a 4-yard loss and a 6-yard gain. Why are we not playing Geno with Hamilton and Williams? I think it's just a personnel situation. Hamilton kind of does what Williams and Stone can do, and he's a better tackler than both of them by far. That's really, it's a personnel situation. You're not going to put Stone on the field and take off a linebacker or take off a pass rusher. So I guess it's just personnel grouping more than anything else, Chris. The simple fact that they gotta keep Hamilton on the field at all times. If he's healthy, you can't take Hamilton off, and it's really just a choice of Williams or Geno at that point. And we had all of our veteran cornerbacks playing last night. We had Yasin playing, we had Darby playing, we had Worley playing, along with Stevens and Marlowe. So that's pretty much at least my opinion on it. My brother said Chris George we probably will, but the head coach is different. It'll be another 5 to 10 years before Harbaugh can call it quits. So he's going to get interviews this offseason. So will Anthony Weaver. Yeah, both of those guys are going to get interviews. If we lose McDonald, Weaver will probably get the defensive coordinator position, even though he's got the assistant head coach title. If we lose Weaver, it'll be a detriment because I love Weaver. Weaver's a homegrown guy. Just talking to Josh. Sorry about that. But I think we probably lose McDonald or Weaver, if not both of them, in the off season. Let's see what else we got here. Chris says that Simpson played a great game last night. He did for his standards. I'm not too high on Simpson. Admittedly, he's the weakest offensive lineman we got in terms of starter quality. So, hopefully we can get that addressed before the off season starts. Josh lost service. They had a little bit of a power outage at their residence. So I'm gonna be manning this for a couple more minutes, and then we are going to wrap this up. Our one of our loyal listeners, JD, Stanley's holding issues need to get addressed. Stanley holds a lot. I'm not gonna lie, Stanley does hold a lot. The entire offensive line holds a lot, so that's you hold every play. It's just a matter of getting called. But he's a little bit more egregious with it. But I think he gets the benefit of the doubt because he's a premier left tackle, reputation wise. Chris, we addressed a little bit of the tripping penalty with the referee or the tripping safety. Jordan, another one of our listeners. It's dumb though. Lamar said post game the referee apologized. I don't want to hear that shit. They got to fix it. He fell on his ass backpedaling and tripped Lamar. His old ass needs to get out of the goddamn way. Jordan says Chris says Joe's going to hit a wall the next two games. He might. I don't need him to hit a wall this coming Thursday because I'm starting him in my fantasy football finals for my work league. So I got $300 riding on Joe. So he needs to do his damn thing on Thursday night. My brother said, imagine if we actually gave Joe a true wide receiver one after the Super Bowl. He's doing it at 38. I mean, I can only imagine what he would do at 28, 29 years old. It could have been a completely different situation where we weren't giving him wide receivers that were at the tail end of the career. So that's a good point. Let's see. Jordan says the Jets upset the Browns on Thursday night. As long as Flacco throws for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns, I don't care what they do. I prefer them to lose. Let's see. Got our boy Keith joining us from Cleveland. Don't want to see you, buddy. Don't want to see you at all. Yeah. Chris, with the final comment I'm going to read. Yeah, if he wasn't so greedy, we could have kept Anquan Bolden. I'm not going to, cry over spilled milk from 11 years ago. But Flacco, he was getting paid or he was leaving. We weren't going to let a second Super Bowl MVP quarterback walk before our, post Super Bowl. They would have burned the city to the ground, theoretically speaking. But Josh wanted me to let everybody know that he will be back with me on Thursday night. We will be back Thursday night, 9:30. We will be doing our Miami Dolphins pregame show. Josh, buddy, I'm sorry I'm gonna be doing your sign off. That's a wrap, folks. Everything is easy in Flock Nation. We are going to wrap this show up, guys. 9:30 Eastern on Thursday night. We will have a couple of Miami Dolphins guests. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for all the comments and engagement on the Facebook Live. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all, and we will see you guys Thursday night, 9:30. Hopefully, have a good night, everybody.